Eiffel Tower with Oliver G. Eiffel Tower listeners, if you've never heard this show before, this is a 30-minute journey down the road of figuring out France, usually with a special guest each week. And in the past, we've had TV presenters and tour guides, comedians and cooks. Last week, we even had a mayor of Paris, but this week, we don't have a special guest. We have 24. Yes, we've asked past guests and listeners of the show to tell us their favourite French word and to explain themselves. And because it's a special episode, a list form, I've given James Vazina, the producer, free rein to use as many sound effects as he wants, even though they've been previously banned from the show. Oh my god.
Hi Ollie.
Hi James, here we go for the 24 favourite French words. Starting with number 1, pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse. This one's from Veronique, who runs French Girl in Seattle. A blog, a Facebook page, brilliant Facebook page. She says about this word, it appeals to all my senses. I love the way the word sounds. I love the taste and appearance of grapefruit in the morning, fruit or juice that is. I love the distinctive grapefruit scent. And you know what she adds?
No.
I've worn Guerlain's Pamplemousse eau de toilette for years.
Everything grapefruit about her.
What she even adds, grapefruit's good for you, smelling, tasting it, it puts her in a good mood. And finally, a favourite summer cocktail is Campari, grapefruit juice and champagne.
Well, I've got another cocktail for you. Favourite summer cocktail. Well, not quite a cocktail.
Go on.
But take some rosé, put some grapefruit in it. You can even do it the cheaper way, is grapefruit syrup. And just mix it all in, put some ice cubes, and you've got a perfect summer drink.
Both.
Both?
Well,
both you say?
That's going to be word number 2.
Both you say?
But before I get to word number 2, give French Girl in Seattle a follow. She's a fan of this show. We're a fan of her. Check her out. But back to bof. Bof. Word number 2 from Corey Fry, tour guide extraordinaire, and the Paris Whisperer.
From Corey Fry.
Corey Fry, previous guest on the show and a great guest at that.
Our Paris history teacher.
I love that guy. He says bof is a lukewarm review of something or a lack of enthusiasm. He says it's the most useful 3 letters in the French language. It's perfectly French, makes you feel like a local. So, for example, James, how was your date last night?
Bof.
How was your movie the other night?
Bof.
Okay, boof. Am I getting the pronunciation?
You're getting it, and I can see that. I like the shrug of the shoulders as well.
And do you put your lip out as well? Boof.
You can, and then make a little sound.
Boof. Another similar word from another expat is word number 3, and it is en fait. En fait.
En fait.
En fait. En fait. And this one's coming from Matt, who is one of the founders of Lost in Franchlation. Have you heard of these guys?
I have.
Lost in Franchlation films in Paris, and they're putting English subtitles on new and old French movies and documentaries.
Cool concept.
Yeah, I like it. And you heard it here first. They're going to be on the show soon. But Matt says, when I finally figured out what everyone was doing with en fait, I was like, well, hey, I could do that too. You just chuck that on the end of everything and it works. He adds, you can always get away with it, and it even makes you sound a little bit more French than you really are.
Yeah, I guess you just add it into your sentences. And
it's not bad, en fait.
Yeah, en fait, it's not bad.
I like that one. If you're wondering why James has such a good French accent, it is because he's French.
Voilà.
Voilà. He has, some would say he has a formidable accent, en fait.
Oh, is that one of the coming up words? I can feel it.
That's a clue, because word number 4 from Lindsay Tremuda, previous guest on the show as well, is formidable. Formidable. Lindsay, a little note, her new book, if you remember we were talking about The New Paris, that's coming out really soon, April 18th. It hits shelves. I'm yet to read it, but I'm looking forward to it.
Next week.
That's next week.
It is.
So check that one out. But let's get back to the word formidable. She says, I like the word much more than the English version, so formidable. It has a finesse to it in French that I love. And also, it makes me think of the Stromae song. And since I love Stromae, that's not such a bad association. You know the song, James?
I know the song.
Sing it.
I've got a special jingle for that.
Oh, you are on form. You are on form with the buttons today, James. I'm loving it.
Formidable. Tu étais formidable, j'étais formidable. Nous étions formidables. Formidable. Tu étais formidable, j'étais formidable.
Not a bad jingle at all. Almost as good as ours from Slim and the Beast. as I mentioned before, we've also...
All right.
Okay, Slim and the Beast are great, but maybe Stromae is a little bit better. Hang on, you know what the interesting connection there is?
Tell me.
Stromae, the band, the Belgian singer, his name is Verlan, like
Yes.
twisted slang on the word maestro.
It is.
And speaking of Verlan,
Slim and the Beast.
Slim and the Beast.
Episode number 1, the pilot episode.
Pilot episode. I've gone back to old Samuel Barantes.
Yeah?
I said to him, what's your favorite word? Let's have a listen to what he said.
So my favorite word in the French language is Ménilmontant, because it is a place in Paris that I first heard of when I was a 10-year-old listening to old French songs. I don't even know why. My dad was listening to them. And it's a famous between the war song about a place in Paris called Ménilmontant. And there's something about the sound of the word and then the place where you see it actually exists that is the quintessential France for me.
And I even asked him to sing it.
Ménilmontant, mais oui, madame. There you go.
So Ménilmontant is actually a place.
It's a place in Paris. Isn't that interesting? So everybody takes this a little
I like
bit.
the background on it, yeah.
People have a
That's
different
right.
reason for having a favourite French word. I quite like that. You want to know what my favourite French word is?
Do so.
I'm not going to tell you until the end.
Oh!
Let's
Oh,
come to another listener.
I'm just going to keep on listening.
If you're still out there listening, good job so far. Listen to Carolyn, a listener, give her favourite French word.
My favourite French word is Rabibocher, and I learnt this word when I had made up with an ex-boyfriend, and his brother said, I'm really pleased that vous avez Rabibocher. And I was like, what does that mean? And he said, you basically made up after a little lover's tiff. And I think it also can mean coming together as a group of friends. So that's a nice word. And I like the way it sounds as it rolls off the tongue.
That is a good word. I like that a lot. And after she gave me that word, I saw it on a headline in one of the French papers. And I was
You
like,
did?
Yeah.
What was it talking? So
It was two celebrity couples that had se rabibouché.
they say they rabiboched.
Yeah, they rabiboshed. So it kind of means like got back together, patched things up. It's one of those untranslatable words. We don't really have
You missed
one
another
word for
plug there.
it. What did I
For the
miss?
franglais.
Franglais. Which
Yes.
episode was that? One of the early ones.
Going far back now, yeah. Episode 5, 6.
Is that the one where we invented words?
It is.
Well, I tell you what, we got more from those guests coming up as well. So plug coming up. But let's hear from another listener, Shelly, who has a household word as her favourite.
I love the word l'aspirateur in French because it sounds so much more interesting and exciting than vacuum, which is what it actually means in English. So in French you would say, je vais utiliser l'aspirateur, whereas in English you say, I'm going to use the vacuum.
Do you remember Paul Taylor?
Paul something.
What the bleep, France Taylor.
Taylor.
I gave him a text and he gave us word number 8. Here it goes. Kui. He said, that's the word. Come on, James, how do you pronounce it?
Couille.
Kui. So he says, if you don't know, that word means balls. I'm not surprised that Mr. What the Fuck France used the word balls as his favourite word. But his explanation is because no Anglophone can pronounce it properly. Which I think I just proved.
There you go.
So typical. But I got a story for you about this word. When I first moved to Paris and I played a lot of basketball.
Basketball gets mentioned a lot in this
I
show.
play a lot of basketball.
Yeah.
So I was on the streets in Paris and I heard this one guy who was too tired to play. And someone said, are you going to play, mec? And he said, non, je suis cuit. Which means like I'm cooked, right? It means cuit. Like I'm cooked, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm tired, I'm too cooked to play. And then, so the next guy comes and asks me, do you want to play? Tu vas jouer? And I just said, non, je suis cuit. Which obviously means I am balls. And they all had a good laugh about that on the basketball court. Word 9. This one...
You can't put me down for every one of my sound effects here.
That was a good one, actually. You're very quick today. But they'll probably be banned for the next episode, to be fair. Let's have word number 9. Another swear word. If you're listening, Grandma, turn the sound down for 1 minute. This one is merdeux. Merdeux.
I think we've got merde.
Merde. From Stephen Clark, the author, who was on a recent episode.
He likes that word.
He likes the word, and when we actually asked him in the episode...
That word helped him quite a bit.
I mean, that's what every single book he's written has that in there.
There you go.
I asked him on the show, I said, what's your favourite word? He said merde, and if you remember, and when I asked him, I said merd, and then I asked him how to pronounce it. Here's what he said. How are we pronouncing merd when we're mixing it with English?
You should say merde.
So when you talk about it, you say you're in the merde.
In the merde, yeah, because I actually wrote a book called Dial M for Merde, And if you say dial-M for murd, it almost sounds like the book that I've ripped the title off of, dial-M for murder. So it's dial-M for merde, it's merde.
So there you go. From one author to another for word number 10, the word is, well, the author is Lisa Anselmo, if you remember her from episode 4, I think, from My Part-Time Paris Life.
I thought it was earlier than that. Was
Man.
it? No, maybe, yeah.
You know, we've done
before,
15 episodes now, James.
15? We've hit 15.
This is 15. We don't have to celebrate. I think 20 will celebrate.
We started celebrating from episode 1.
That's true. But no wine in the studio today, so that's pretty good. Anyway, word number 10 from Lisa Anselmo is vachement. That was a good one. She says this word vachement, if you never heard it before, it's kind of like saying really, really. But literally it means cowly. Almost like holy cow. And she says, for example, this cheese, this fromage est vachement bon, which means like it's cowly good. So she says in France, a country famous for its cheese, it's not terribly surprising that a word like cowly could creep in. It's meant to mean very, very.
A bit surprising though. Why did they start to talk about cows to say that something's good?
Well, you know what you also say, you French people, you say "oh la vache," as if to say,
yeah,
what is that? Oh my god.
Yeah,
There's a holy cow in France, just like in India.
Why? There must be a story behind it.
I don't know, but maybe if you buy Lisa Anselmo's book, you'll get inside her head and maybe you'll figure it out. Anyway, you know what? Before we go on to announce a winner from a competition, I'm going to bring you up on another French thing that you guys do that I just thought of then that I really like. And you're going to have to explain yourself, James. Why do French people say, for example, you say, me, I'm tired, me. Moi, je suis fatigué, moi.
Ah, you mean like adding like pronouns on the end of...
Why do you do that?
It's a bit more emphasis.
She's kind, her. Elle est gentille, elle.
Yeah. It's just a bit more emphasis. But that's it. There's no other reason. It's probably grammatically wrong. I don't know.
Do you do that? Everybody does it, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing it in English.
You could... Ouais, elle est sympa, elle.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes, though, sometimes you can say it also to say, like, she's nice compared to the others. That can also work. But it's not always... most of the time, it's a positive thing, I'd say.
I'm going to start doing it myself, me. Okay, we're going to announce the winner from a competition I did. I actually put on the Facebook page. I asked people...
Ollie, this competition, that Stephen Clark competition.
This is Stephen Clark's signed book that he signed for
in February?
Nah, was it? Well, it took me a while to get around to it, but I put on Facebook, what's your favorite French word, which some of these contributions have come from, and then I randomly picked a winner, and the winner I'm about to announce picked a really good word that she yes, it's a she. Can we have a drum? Do you have a drum roll?
Sure do.
Okay, the winner of Stephen Clark's Year in the Merde is Kate Goodbody, and she sent in the word trottoir, and that's she says because that means sidewalk or pavement. She says this is because I love the idea of people trotting down the street, which I think is quite nice. So congratulations, Kate, on that book. And if you want to follow her, she also runs a blog about Paris called More Native Than the Natives. I encourage you to check it out. Give them a follow. And while you're at it, give us a follow on Facebook. That is facebook.com/The Earful Tower. We often ask guests for little giveaways. Last time we had a book from Stephen Clark that was signed. We've also
the guests haven't received their giveaways yet.
No, this one, Kate Goodbody, it's on the way. She got it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
but I'll tell you what else we had that if you haven't been listening carefully, you missed. The guys from Le Peloton Cafe, they gave away 10 free coffees to the first 10 people who listened to the episode and used the code word.
So just free things on this radio show, guys.
That's what you're missing out on if you're not listening to the episode. Anyway, let's get on to number 12, 13, and 14, and they're all from listeners. Let's start with Mike, sometimes called Dingo Mike, and his word is papillon.
My favourite word is papillon. I think I got that wrong. I'll do it again. Papillon. Yeah, that one works better. There's two reasons for it. One, because it means butterfly. Butterflies are beautiful. Two, it means bow tie in English, and to pull off a bow tie, it's an eccentric look these days compared to, I guess, how it used to be when they first originated. And if you can pull one off, hats off to you.
Good word. I like that. Is he right that it also means bow tie?
It does. Ne pape as well.
Ne pape.
So papillon, ne papillon, ne pape.
What's the ne?
A nœud is like a knot.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that means knot.
Yeah, and nœud
How
pape.
do you spell nœud?
N-O with a E, E dans l'eau, E next to the O, which is attached to the O, U-D.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I get what you mean when they
Like
say
a
like in
loaf,
maneuver.
like a
yeah,
both,
okay,
like
yeah.
a- yeah.
We don't have that letter in English. Okay, let's move on to number unlucky for some, 13, and it's from a regular listener, a fan of the show called Lina.
My favorite French word is Pompette because it sounds really cute and also it sounds like the name of a poodle, but it means tipsy.
Lovely, Lina, thank you for that word. And it was a very good word and a lovely radio voice. We should have her in the studio, I think.
She's been here.
She has been here. She was a judge on the episode starring Sam Davies and Ben McPartland about
That's
the
right.
words. We created words. That was a good one for people who like
Franglais
puns.
wordplay.
Hey, you know, speaking of Sam Davies, what do you think his favourite word is?
Sam Davies. Oh, I'd rather not.
Well, guess what? You're about to hear it because I asked him as well. Past guest of the show, journalist in France. Here is his favourite word.
My word might not even be a word, but it's rouflaquette, and I think it means sideburns for Jewish people, but it's because a very funny friend of mine I used to work with, that was her Twitter name, and I then went and looked it up at home and saw that it was sideburns. Maybe it's not, but I've always never double-checked, so
Why do you like it?
the way it rolls off my tongue, and that it doesn't sound like any English word, but it also sounds like a raclette.
Say it again.
Rouflaquette.
Is it a word?
It's a word. Yeah, as you
he
said.
didn't sound very sure.
Kind of
about
like big sideburns.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good one, Sam. Okay, let's move on to...
We can say les pattes for sideburns.
Les pattes.
Les pattes. Yeah, like...
P-A-T-T-E-S?
That's
Les
right.
pattes.
That's right.
Okay, so really big sideburns, rouflaquette.
That's it.
All right, let's move on to
Very
number
bushy ones.
15. And we got a word from Jennifer, who writes the blog Chez Lulu. Great blog about France. Good Facebook page too. I encourage you to give her a follow. You know, she's also friends with another previous guest, David Leibovitz.
She is.
Just name dropping there. Can you hear the train going past outside?
Yeah, we hear it.
Yeah, there you go.
So that train outside, that's the train from Gare du Nord.
Because we're in the studio on the 18th. I've had some, and I love getting emails from you guys that are listening. We have listeners as far as China, as far as
We
Fiji,
Ooh,
and as far as
that's about it.
well, Fiji's my dad. That one doesn't count. But we also have heard from a lot in America. We love hearing where you're from. Send us a message, and we're happy to give shout-outs because we find it quite exciting to know where you guys are from. But speaking of Americans, number 15, the word is dragonflies. Yeah, you got it. It's the word libellule. Libellule.
Libellule.
Libellule. And this one from Jennifer, she says, this is because I love dragonflies and it's a great word to say. It's not a great word, so to speak, but a fun word to say.
It's a pretty word.
It is a pretty word. Libellule. Lots of L's.
How many?
Mellifluous word, you might say.
Some would say.
I'd say that. So thanks for that one, Jennifer. On to word number 16.
Would that happen to be one of your favourite English words?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would be.
It is.
Mellifluous.
Like,
Mellifluous. Don't put me on the spot, James. That's forbidden.
Just asking.
Okay, number 16. We're almost through the list. This is going quick. Okay, number 16 is the word truc, which means thingamajig, thingy, thing.
Yeah, internationally. Well, no, nationally used.
Overused. Truc.
Probably overused. Probably overused because you end up just not using the right words in the end.
It's when you're searching for. Well, let me let Gail of Perfectly Paris, which is another great Facebook page, by the way. Let me let her explain it. She says, when I first got to Paris in 2001, my favorite word was truc because it covered everything when your brain couldn't remember the correct word. It works because it's vague, indirect, and can refer to anything, which can be useful when you're first learning the language. Truc. You know who else likes the word truc?
No.
Isabel Klevstad, who is a regular listener from Sweden. She says, I use it whenever I can't think of the real name for a thing. It's the best word for someone who wants to believe she sounds more French than she does.
Truc machin bidule chouette.
What does that mean?
That's the thingamajig.
Say it again.
Truc machin bidule chouette.
Truc machin bidule chouette. Well, I like the word too, Isabel and Gail, and thanks for listening. Especially Isabel, because I know you've listened, we know you listen to every episode, you're a fan of the show, and we respect that. It's a good truc to, when it's a truc.
Yeah. It's kind of like the word genre as well.
Genre.
Yeah, genre.
As in
genre.
genre.
As in genre, but you use it to say like, kind of thing.
Example.
Ouais, je sais pas, mais genre... like that.
God. They're those words that are really hard for foreigners to learn. You know another one that you guys do a lot? Enfin. As if to say, you just chuck it in the middle to mean like...
yeah.
It took
like
me ages to figure out what that was when I moved there. I thought they were saying fan, which is a Swedish swear word. Speaking of Swedish people. Anyway, let's get on with the list. Number 17. This one comes from another previous guest, Mr. Tom Clark from Coutume Cafe. Coutume.
Ah.
And his word is...
They've just opened a new cafe, haven't they?
They have. In Rue... Is it Rue de Martel or Rue Martel in the 10th?
We went past it, didn't we?
Yeah.
But it hadn't opened yet.
No, it's open now. I've been. And they only... if you want to get your coffee without milk, go and check. It's a bit of a concept thing.
Okay.
Go and get a filter coffee from those guys. And his word is grenouille, which means frog. Grenouille. Thanks, James. Let's hear what he had to say about it.
My favorite French word is grenouille, frog. Because if you can pronounce grenouille, you can speak French.
Do you like the word?
I think it sums up the French psyche, and it just captures their, kind of je ne sais pas quoi attitude. I'm not a fan of eating them, but the word just captures the French spirit.
Cool, okay, let's move on to another previous guest, Ben McPartland, who's the editor of the Local France. You want your news in English? Go to the Local France. His word, I'll let him explain it.
My favourite French word is dégueulasse because it sounds like a character out of Lord of the Rings, and it can be shortened to dégueu, which sounds what it is, disgusting.
I like the Lord of the Rings Legolas
That was
point
great,
there.
yeah. Legolas, dégueulasse, I never thought of that.
Wait, I think I got something for you.
A red sun rises. Blood has been spilled this night.
I can't believe that you have Lord of the Rings on your buttons there, James. That's pretty good. Okay,
Yep.
You've redeemed yourself.
All right.
You've redeemed yourself in a big way. You know what? For word number for word number 19, we've got the first and only French guy. Because you know what? I think it's kind of interesting that English people are usually very quick to come up with their favorite French word. But when it comes to a native speaker of a language, I think maybe they had more time to think about it, and they don't usually come up with one so quickly.
You've obviously thought of your English words.
Well,
that one didn't just come...
I love words.
Nice.
I'm not a typical. But this one's coming from Fabien, whose favorite word, well, I'll let him explain it.
My favorite word in French is Ancre. Ancre, which means ink or anchor in English. I really like that word because it's got two meanings, obviously in English. The one is obviously the ink, which is I really like literature and anything to do with ink, I love it. It means tattoo as well, which I like it. And the other one is Ancre. It's related to the navy, to sailing, and I like it. It means traveling, and it means a lot of things. So I really like it.
That's a good word from the Breton sailor. You know what? We got 4 words left, so let's do it. Here's a few more ones from the Facebook page that came in. Number 20 is quincaillerie. Quincaillerie, which, what is that, like a hardware shop?
Yeah, it's basically like a nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts. You want your nuts and bolts, you go to a quincaillerie. And that one comes in from Joey Yanity on Facebook, and he says, that's just a pretty fun word to say. And I agree with him.
Yeah,
and I love seeing that word on hardware shops around Paris and France.
Especially it's written everywhere,
Such a big word, such a long word beginning with Q. It would be a great Scrabble score.
It probably,
that would be like a 70-point word. Quincaillerie.
Have you played much of French Scrabble?
I played it once.
Yeah.
On the Words with Friends app, and it was impossible. Terribly impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I failed it. But I was playing against my girlfriend, who doesn't speak very good French either, so we were equally bad. And the less said about that game, the better. Word 21. Another Facebook follower, Tamir Shaughnessy, she likes the word flâneur.
Ah, flâneur.
Which means, what does that mean? Oh, so someone walking around, having a good time,
just
whistling to themselves.
Just flanning.
Just walking around listening to a podcast episode of the Eiffel Tower, having a good time. Is that what you're doing? If you're out there listening to the podcast while walking around, flanning around, we salute you.
Are you a bit of a flaneur?
I'm a massive flaneur. Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
You know where I like to flan?
Oh, let me guess. Somewhere on the right bank.
The right bank.
Maybe where they've just opened.
You're exactly right. The Rive Droite.
Have you been?
I have been, because it's been open for a while, but we're talking about the mayor of the 4th arrondissement, Christophe Girard. I was in his office last week for the last episode, and he was telling us all about the right bank that's opened up to pedestrians.
They only recently officially
inaugurated with the mayor down there.
I was down there yesterday, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's quite nice. They've made it, there's a load of things for children, exercise kind of places.
You were just flanning around, were you?
I was.
Yeah. Listening to World Radio Paris. Good for you. She says, Tammy says it says, my favorite thing to do in Paris, and you are not alone, Tammy. Great name, by the way, Tammy Tamiesh, you want to say. And thanks for following. 22, this one comes from Jim Carmichael on Facebook. His word is déchetterie. Déchetterie, which means like a tip or a dump.
Yeah, a dump.
Strange word, but he says, I love the way that it rolls off the tongue. I like the Verlan version of that word, which is terri déchet. It doesn't exist. Okay, you know what?
You're adding your words to the French language.
Speaking of, well, not really, but speaking of, we only have 2 words left, and guess what?
What?
Number 23 is your word.
My word?
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot, James. That's how this show works. We always do a quick one at the end.
My favourite French word? I don't know.
French people can never do it on the spot, but you're going to have to try.
I'm gonna give you my worst word.
Okay,
that one I know. That one I know. My least favourite word in
Let's
French.
hear it.
Okay.
Kind of breaking the rules, but that's all right.
Here it is. It's croûte. Croûte. Let me explain. So first definition, really nice. So it means the crust, like the crust on like an
crust
apple.
of a bread, right?
Yeah, on the bread or on a crumble or whatever.
Does it also mean the end of a baguette?
La croûte. Yeah, or crouton is the little bits of bread that you harden.
That's a lovely word, James. I don't know why you wouldn't like that.
Let me get to it. I'm getting to it.
Oh,
second part is the croûte also means like on a scab. You know, like the.
James.
Right.
Family show.
So
I don't know if my grandma turned it back up after I told her to turn it down.
We've had way worse on the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, Paul Taylor looking at you if you're still listening. But okay, so I mean scab and bread.
It does. So mixing foods and scab. Yeah, not great.
That's revolting. Imagine if in English we called a bread crust a scab.
Yeah.
I don't like the scabs, Mum. That's disgusting.
No, I don't like
That's
it.
disgusting.
I hate it. Just and the pronunciation of the word when you think of it, like croûte.
Croûte. Oh, I agree with you on that one.
And Ollie, actually, talking to 24,
yep,
that must be yours.
It's mine, and my word is an unforgettable word. In fact, it's the French word for unforgettable, which is inoubliable. Inoubliable, which...
lovely pronunciation, Ollie.
Thanks, James. It just means unforgettable, but I like it because of the sound of the word, and to me it sounds like when an English person or a foreign person is imitating a French person when they can't actually speak French. You know, when they're je comprends inoubliable, you know, like just making nonsense sounds.
Perhaps with some peanuts in their mouth.
Exactly, peanuts in their mouth. Inoubliable. It's a beautiful word, and I hope I did it justice with my pronunciation. But you know what? That wraps it up. That wraps up the top 24 favorite French words from listeners. I hope that if you've been listening, not only that you've learned some new words if you're learning, but
I think there were some interesting words.
I think so too. But the other
we
cool
went from places to verbs.
And you know what
nouns.
else we did? We gave some Facebook recommendations and some books to read and some old episodes to listen to.
Check them all out.
Yeah, if you're going to be flanning around in Paris, chuck us into your old headphones.
Yeah, download the World Radio Paris podcast.
Do them both. This is World Radio Paris, the radio station after all. Oh, and last I got some news. Instagram, I got it. Yeah, I've set it up for the Eiffel Tower. In fact, it was a helper has set it up. And
have you hired an intern?
Now, we were encouraged in an earlier episode by Lindsay Tremuda. We've done it. We've got it. Follow along for some extra behind the scenes. And on that note, enjoy your lovely week in Paris or wherever in the world you are. Thanks for listening.
Eiffel Tower with Oliver G.